So here we are in Clash of Monarchs. This is after the Prussian invasion of Saxony, the Austrians' response. They're moving Brown into place. He picked up the Saxon troops, he picked up some additional troops, and he's going to try to drive that siege off. Frederick intercepted, which is not unlikely at all, but he left Ferdinand behind with enough troops to cover and maintain the siege of Dresden. So it's going to be kind of an interesting battle. I'm expecting the Austrians to lose, but we'll see. So after the battle, both sides used some tactics. The Austrians managed to get rid of the slow reaction one, which is just kind of a placeholder, something they can discard. The Prussians, I believe, used artillery up front. It ended up being very, very high swing. The Austrian die roll was cruddy, and I don't remember. I don't think this is the original Prussian die roll. But the Prussians outnumbered, outled, outmodified, and we see that combined Austrian. Well, there are no Saxons anymore, just the leader. But that force is no longer powerful right now. But it wasn't a crushing defeat. It was, I don't remember what, something like 7-2, which I would say, wow, you took, 3 times the losses. In this game, that's not enough to budge national will. You really need to wipe out a big force or rout it, and that didn't happen. It wasn't that extreme a loss. So it was a fight that shouldn't have happened, and I'm beginning to get a feel of maybe what kind of fights should happen and shouldn't. You'd think I would have gotten that from fiddling around with the pieces before, but it's hard to think when you're outside the game itself. So I figured getting started, mistakes get made, right? Anyway, I think overall the combat and movement and tactical, and land mechanisms in the game look pretty simple. You're relying on a couple combat charts, some modifiers. You've got the tactics, which can add a lot of variability to what's going on. And I really actually kind of like the way they work, because it's not like an Empires and Arms type of game where you can figure out, oh, I know what his force is, more or less, so these tactics work really well against him, and these don't, and I'll always pick. Here, they're kind of like bonus event cards or whatever, and I think they work very well. I don't feel like they get in the way of the solitaire playability at all either. But I'm beginning to look more and more at, if I want to move people's will, it's going to be by pillaging. And that's a long, slow road to take. Maybe the Prussians aren't convinced of that yet. Their army still looks like it kicks butt, but, they defeated the Austrian army. What's left? Prague's a key. That's worth a point. So that would be a serious goal. One that I'm not sure they can take. But that's definitely going to be the Prussian goal at this point. So the Prussians spent their second impulse setting up a siege in Dresden. And to do that, they had to play a card to build supply points. And then they had to play a second card to activate the leader. They can do both of those because of the way the sequence of play works. We also saw, actually, I didn't do this before. I'm not sure I'm supposed to. The Fate of War. Shit! Wow, that's great. The fact that the Austrians had put some light units into the box allowed them to sort of automatically, for free, without any chance of death, get a couple of raid points in place. Now that's only 4 out of 22 there, and 1 out of 8 there, but if they can get those up to the numbers, that causes a point of national will or monarchical will to decrease against the Prussians. Likewise, the capture of Dresden means that every year that they hold that, because Saxony is considered an Austrian client in this game, the Austrian monarch will drop by 1. Now, monarch will dropping is supposed to be the way the game probably should end. It's possible, I guess. No, I don't think it is. I'm going to say the automatic victory conditions is to knock Austria or Prussia down to a 0. Now, we're playing with all 4 powers in the game. But if you knock Russia or France or England out of the war, they just sort of withdraw and become non-belligerents in the game. Now, I had mentioned the sequence of play. I want to show this to you for a moment. So, you're able to, back in the supply segment, you're able to drop a card to buy supply actions. And then you're allowed to play a card down in your strategy segment, which is a little odd. Most of the games don't allow a double card play like that, even if they have intercepts or something like that. Usually you have to set up for 1 turn and then attack. I think it's an interesting feature. But the sequence of play itself is one of the things that I gripe about in the rules. It's not bad, and it's probably the most useful page in the rules by far, as is the case in many games. But we got all these charts. Now, I think there's one of these for each potential player, 4 of them. And then there's one of this sort of random events chart that I'm assuming will show up from something. Some of them are from the Fate of War or whatever. It'd be really, really nice to have the sequence of play on a single sheet of paper somewhere, even on the back of a rule book. Hey! Bonus, there it is. Alright, gripe done. I just didn't see it because it's such small print or something. Cool. So I played out the rest of the fall action rounds. You know, it's a 1 card play each for the most part, except that you play 1 for supply as well, which I find kind of cute. Pretty much people building up forces. The Imperials got some reinforcements off of the Austrian cache. Prussians put their Freikorps as well as that Hussar over there into play. After having seen that, oh wow, you get free stuff if you're in there. The Austrians also played one of their one-time only cards, the Freikorps was as well, to put up their mobilization, among other things that gets them new and, well, I don't know if they're better. Different leaders. Got Dawn, but we also have the mighty Charles. Sure is rated poorly in this game. No, not the one from the Napoleonic, but in Freddy the Great, I think Charles is actually fairly well rated. Event-wise, the Swedes got some free money. They're not really in the war. So, I guess that's pretty much where we are. Now I'm going to start going through, you know, heading to winter quarters and then the beginning phases of 57.